to get that.
Can we get the quadrant?
Right, and by the way, Glenn is actually on a AI flown ship here, and that is something longer term that we're going to be working on, which is AI doing things like taking your shuttle from a space station down to the ground, or various locations that you could go to without having to fly to yourself. So think of it as a bigger version of the transit system. And here's one of the things that I think Ian's talked about, we've talked about, is that we want to increase our range of, we have outposts, but they're pretty small. Correct. And we want to have points of interest that you would have in various planets or moons, that you can have mission content in, things to do, and this is sort of this is a sort of first prototype of that.
Yeah, so basically multiple entries, multiple exits. Obviously with outposts, you got one way in, one way out. So for us, from a design standpoint, this allows us to build these in a modular way so that we can have different entrances, different exits, different room layouts, different mission content associated with it. From there, then we start looking towards towns and villages, and then obviously we have our main cities.
Yeah, and as I mentioned earlier, this is sort of a prototype, first version of a sort of multi-part mission that we've discussed and thinking about doing in the longer term, not 3.8 obviously, but 3.9 or on beyond that. Of course, it's cold here in Microtech.
So you'll see, now that we've entered into the room, the temperature that the character feels changes, and he actually starts returning back to normal.
All right. So hopefully our trusty ID card still works. I'm willing to say it does. And if we take a look out the side, Glenn, out the window a bit, when you out the window out here. So one other thing, which we're going to get into a little further, but if we actually take a look outside, the other thing that we're showing here is dynamic weather.
Yes.
And so actually there is a ground snowstorm blowing in. Can you look out the window a little bit, Glenn? Or not? Glenn?
Glenn, can you look out the window?
Just take a look out the window quickly. So if you take a look, if we go take a look out here, it's where the trees, go to the left a little bit. Should be, I think. Yeah, so you can see. So, all right, we carry on. So there's a storm blowing in right now. Come to that in a bit better. But the weather simulation takes into account the humidity, the wind, temperature.
Yes, right? All of that.
And it is dynamic. So it's set up. So not going to have. We've got a couple of elements still to come on the fully dynamic planetary weather, which would be volumetric planetary crowds and volumetric ground fog. We have a large amount of the pieces in place for our weather sims, and we'll get into that in a little bit, but let's carry on with our mission. So we're gonna go look for the data center to try and steal the algorithm.
So it says it in the demo, or basically in the mission briefing, that you're looking for server number 5. So we'll be looking around and getting closer and working our way over there.
trying not to be too conspicuous. And the idea with these kind of missions in the longer term is to have the ability to do like stealth gameplay instead of combat gameplay, so, solve some puzzles, so it's not just going to be about shooting people all the time.
Well, and it's something that Tony and you and I have talked about a long time ago, which is basically breadcrumbs as well, so it opens up to other aspects.
So we want a sort of combination of sort of the procedural dynamic stuff that would be generated by the universe simulation that Tony was showing earlier, plus some more crafted, multi-stage, kind of more narrative missions, and they all get mixed in to give you a really sort of nice flavor and variety of things to do. So, like, we need to figure out a good way. We're gonna we kind of know a good way, but as a game player, you would actually have to suss this out. So we're gonna go back here in the maintenance area. And there we go. So great. Very quiet, great.
Yes. In the future, obviously, the AI will have certain stims that they can react to, and you know, audio is one of them. Having certain objects that the player places around would be another way to distract AI.
Again, there was things like we took the Glenn's going to take his pour. There's like locks on the multi-tool, and we can pretend we're going to pour them off or not. There you go. But yeah, this is the idea. Is like the FPS like the multi-tool has different modes. Cutting, could be mining, could be welding, repairing. In this particular case, we're just going to cut the 4 kind of hinges, locks off, so we can take the grate open and get through it. And again, this is, I think we've talked a little bit about, especially with something like whether the weather or the temperature, it's about taking like the physical inventory, taking the things you need. So do I need a tool to go and do something? Do I need to have an outfit that will keep me warm or protect me from fire?
I mean, I think even with our combat and everything like that, we want people to actually think about what they need to do first.
Are you looking for the exit?
No, he's looking how to turn that off.
No, it's on the bottom here. Go down here. It's there. See that square? Move your cursor down. Oh, can you tab to it? Your mouse isn't working?
I.
To I. All right, Glenn's managed to crash. That can't be right, right? Come out, do that. That's one way.
There we go.
Okay, well done. So that's the as you guys know, there's an inventory. There's a personal inner thought system, which is Richard is the personal inner thought with 3.8 or 3.9. 3.9. So that's sort of work in progress. But the personal inner thought is in 3.9, which allows you to access a whole bunch of actions or interactions that are sort of on you or would be your thoughts. And so that's a very early version that obviously for some reason is bugged, but we weren't actually meant to end up triggering that.
So we're looking for a data card.
And we're going to steal some data. Oh, there's a guard on that side. Just make sure you stay out of that way, Glenn. There you go. Okay, come over here. There we go. Take the data card.
You can take that one, or I think he clocked one on the desk, I think.
Okay. It was risky. Okay, quick. All right, back. There we go. And then maybe under here to get to the other side. And by the way, one of the reasons why, yeah, there we go. One of the reasons, obviously, why Microtech, they like this planet and they've been cold is to essentially cool all their,
The server
systems
farms?
and server farms, yeah.
Yes.
It's like a big Microsoft. All right, let's try to get some data. And again, this is building block UI, right?
Yes,
So
yes.
that's all put together by a designer fairly quickly without having to have Flash programmers or... Okay. Let's get it. Okay. Let's get out of here with our ill-gotten gains. Can't really go that way.
Yeah.
All right, let's. All right, I don't know. This looks all right. Ooh, all right, Glenn. Just pretend that you're blending in. Okay.
Do you mind telling us what the hell's going on? Hey, I'm talking to you. This is our project. You can't just freeze us out like this.
Right. Ooh, jeez. That was close. You almost put it on top of his. Okay. Oops-a-daisy. I think we better get out of here, Glenn.
Yeah. So we have non-lethal takedowns now.
Okay, let's get out. Yeah, it's part of that. So melee combat does ship with 3.8, and it's a lot more than just that. But it's non-lethal takedowns. You'll be able to fight
To knock people out.
knock people out, get into fisticuffs. There's a whole sort of different levels of punch, left, right, block, left, right. It's all actually physically based. So we've grab something kind of warm, but we're not really ready to it. We've actually stashed a getaway environment suit. And Richard Trier, I want to bring up to the stage. So Richard's the lead designer on our actor feature team, and I'd like him to talk a little about what is happening right here and the beginning of the actor status system that will ship in 3.9.
So what you're seeing here is basically an extension of the room system, and the room system contains temperature, wind speed, humidity, and it basically amalgamates all of that into what you're seeing on the HUD at the moment, which is the apparent temperature. So the apparent temperature actually comes in and is part of our player status system. And the player status system is where you start to feel these environments, and the actual environments start to play into the gameplay. So you can see here that actually the physicalized wind, he's actually leaning into the wind, he's putting his hand up to try and shield himself, but he's not wearing the correct attire. So he's not wearing the correct equipment, because he's just basically grabbed the clothes and jumped outside. And as you can see, it's really cold. So he's starting to shiver.
A bottom side here, it is.
Yeah, it's like
minus
120 degrees Celsius. So obviously, you can only survive at least 2-3 minutes in that temperature. So he's actually starting to undergo hypothermia, which is part of our status effects. And hypothermia actually ties into the gameplay. So his heart starts to raise, his stamina starts to decrease, he starts to actually physically start to see, you'll see a whiteout, so he starts to become more sensitive to the light, and his audio will start to come in as well, to actually really sell that your body is shutting down. And the player status system really, it just incorporates multiple different things. So hypothermia is part of the temperature gameplay, and you're seeing the cold aspect here. But eventually that will be for heat as well as other actor statuses as well. But you can see here, starting to see the other value on here that you see is the apparent temperature, but the other value is the body temperature. Now the body temperature is tracking your internal body. So, and I think what is it down by now? It's like down at like 33 degrees.
We forgot
Celsius.
to put the drop shadow on the thing. And so we're not in this suit. We actually have a suit that we stashed in the cave, which we're looking for. The other thing that you may have noticed when Glenn was going to the third-person view, but we're working on environmental shader effects. So there was snow accumulation on the jacket that he wore. You notice, you go back and look at what it was when he got it and what it is now. And with that, accumulation is meant to be for things like snow, rain, dust, dirt, and that's something that we're looking to have in 3.9.
And
so you really feel the environment.
The biome, that basically your environment. So
yes.
It'll build up over time.
Build up. So we better get a warm suit on, because otherwise we're going to essentially pass out and then die.
So this suit is actually cold, so hopefully when Glenn puts it on, you'll see actually that it's actually frosted, so you can see your actor's actually shivering here as he's putting it on. And this suit is the Caldera suit that we revealed in the character archetype talk, and this is an environment suit that's built for these extreme climates. He's really cold. He's really cold.
So you'll see the visor's frosted up.
You can see,
and
this is like getting into your car when it's frozen. It's frozen, and the visor's actually frosted up, your suit's frosted up, and as your suit kicks in, this suit has an operating range that can actually survive these temperatures.
So yeah, and if we go, and you'll see it now, because the same effects that we saw on the windshield, you definitely see
So think of it like your car.
So a visor, you're going to see, because it's a big winter storm, snow, slush that's warm in here as it's going out though, it's going to start to get slush, and what we're going to see is is tough. And then I think the other person that I'd like to bring up is Mike Snowden, who's the director of our visual effects, and his team is being responsible for all the environmental weather effects here. And this is what we're doing on the snow side, but it same could work in, a desert planet for dust, rain, and we've actually prototyped a lot of this stuff outside snow, but you're seeing the snow as being our first example. So I don't know if you want to talk about some of the stuff.
Yeah, I mean, so this is all, the main thing about these effects is they're completely data driven, so I'll put a lot of time into creating these rule sets. The way that we or for the effects is completely different to anything we've done before, because we know that we can make beautiful looking storm effects, but the really cool thing about this, no pun intended, is that it's literally the data that the planet gives us. So this ties in with the Planetech V4,
Yeah.
which obviously we're showing off today. It ties in with all the active status stuff. So it's like bringing everything together. So they look fantastic, but they're completely driven by what the game data is.
Yeah, the temperature, altitude, humidity, and so it's systemic, and it's
I mean,
and it'll be affected by time of day and other things.
absolutely,
so
yeah. I mean, so the rule sets are things like temperature, even elevation, wind strength, wind direction, even angle. There's a lot of complexity in the rule set that makes it really easy actually for us in the long term to make these effects across all the kind of hundreds of planets that will eventually.
Yeah, exactly. And obviously you can see the effect of the winds on the vegetation.
Yeah.
So, and as you see here, we're in fog. You see the snow. Our visor is getting, it's like you would be, in a snowstorm if you were skiing or out there. So we stashed a suit. We actually had a rover that we've stashed that goes in our Carrack.
So
we're looking for right now.
One of the things before we go on too far, the other thing is with the armors, you will run into planets that are outside your temperature range, and so you might last there for 15 minutes. But obviously, we want to make sure that it's very lucrative for you to be able to, go in there and risk reward gameplay for it.
Yeah, so be equipped. That's why you would have a big ship and buy different armor and store it. Okay, so here's our rover, which we've hidden with the little top, and this is going to be a much more larger example of the cloth interaction system. So, all right, Glenn, let's get the top off and get into the rover. Okay, we can drop it now. And again, that's an example of all the physics stuff coming together, the cloth interacting, the wind's blowing it.
And the wind itself here, one thing I wanted to call out is that the wind is different strengths depending on where you are. So if you're down in the tree line or in the troughs, the wind is a lot slower, and then as you get more exposed, that wind comes out. So it really is a dynamic environment.
And as you see, as we get into here now, the temperatures come up, the water's evaporating from our visor, and we have a clearer view. Mm-hmm. But of course, the outside of the rover now will have the effect on its canopy.
Yep.
All right, let's let Sam know that she needs to pick us up. Well, after we've engaged our systems, I guess.
Welcome to Orange Space Industries. The joint systems check.
This isn't going to work because of the go-to setup. That's the go-tos break the dialogue. Yeah.
I'm gonna need a pickup.
Yeah.
Oh, hello.
Yeah, I'm gonna need a pickup down the bottom of the hill.
On my way.
Okay.
Right, good. We actually that breaks in our system because we have a little background.
Well, it's
zoom to the right place, which doesn't actually do the server
It hasn't streamed
check
yet.
right. So it hasn't streamed, and it's actually you are seeing some of the stuff because this is in server OCS, so we don't have everything all the time now. So when things go in and out, we've still got edge cases, and that's one of the issues that we have to fix before server OCS happens, but it'll be fine. So let's.
Also, this is precarious, so make sure you get a little noisy for Glenn. Oh.
All right.
Oh.
Ooh, yeah, he's coming. He's coming.
You can see the fog starting to thin out now as we're going further down. That's
Yeah. So
again.
like as we're further down, it's not quite as thick. The weather is not quite as intense. I know, he's scaring the shit out of me.
There he goes.
Show off, Glenn. All right.
Good job, Glenn.
Yeah. I remember when it was almost impossible to get a rover into a ship, but now we can do it. It's
Yeah.
great. And here's an example of, so we're talking about storage. So these are actually meant to be for suit storage. Still kind of early days on the stuff, so it's a bit wonky, but we put our suit in there. We need it. So the idea is that you would have suits and stuff that you would store depending on what you would need on different planets. Oops, hang on. We got a crime stat, and I think someone's shooting us from behind.
Yeah, I got a pretty hefty crime stat. We're gonna have to get out of there.
We're being tailed. Get to the turret.
All right, come on.
So this is our first iteration of ship AI in
In atmosphere, yeah. So we are being tailed by Microtech security because they figured out that we've stolen the data and we're making a getaway. There we go. All right, come on. To our little turret. There we go. Okay, come on, let's get rid of this. Get him, come on. Come on. How come it's quicker?
Hey,
when
Sam,
we're-
why don't you bank?
All right, one more. Okay, come on, let's get him. Okay, last last one. Okay, we got one more, right?
Yep.
No, there's one more. Here he is. Yeah. Sam's basically flying the ship to try and give Glenn a good shot. All right. Oh, get him. Probably not.
Maybe take it. You gotta do it.
Go on.
See the storm in the distance.
Yeah, you can actually see a snowstorm in the distance there in the background as we're leaving. That was where we came from. Do we have to kill them all to advance?
Yeah, you can punch it.
Okay, come on, Glenn. No pressure.
Joe, take him out.
I don't want to shoot that either.
Shoot it, shoot it.
Okay, Glenn, come on.
Did it take us this long? I don't remember taking this long.
There we go.
Come on, Glenn.
Hey!
Hey! So why don't we get out of here, Sam?
Okay, we had our mission update.
We get it later.
Okay, let's get out of orbit then. That's a bit. It's kind of when we run these run-throughs, it did not take. That was the
No,
longest it's taken.
yeah.
It was it's a bit
Good
nervous
AI.
on that one.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to wait till.
You do a sideways, Glenn. It's kind of cool too. Just go to the sort of side and around. Get like side.
Glenn.
Yeah,
Side.
He's got it. He heard me. Yeah. See the beauty of this. Microtech's very pretty. All right. So when do we get the mission update?
QT.
On the Q2? Okay. Yeah, you can see that. Those are trees down there. Those dots. That's cool. So is okay. So now we're going to QT, right?
Yeah.
Okay, let's get it. Let's get going.
She's having trouble with the HUD.
With the what?
She's having trouble with the HUD.
Okay.
Just get up, and then.
Yeah.
No,
once
no.
I get out of atmosphere, it should
Yeah.
help. I hope.
It says flight systems damaged.
Right, but the
Yeah.
attenuated panel.
I wonder what's happened on that one.
Sam, can you hit B and do it? Can you hit B and do it?
Yeah, I think I can find it with me, hopefully. It was quite long ago, wasn't it? Hey.
Okay.
There we go.
Fucking, we
I
gotta.
don't know what
that
happened.
whole. We gotta get the nav.
Yeah.
It's funny that whole thing drives me nuts. Okay. now to go to Pyro?
Should be. Should be coming.
Okay. So when's it come? You don't need to rush, by the way, Glenn. Yeah. So should we get the mission now? What's that?
You should see it up top.
Okay, I haven't seen it.
Hey, Glenn, can you check your
Mission status? You should have had the update for where to, but I'm not sure if you saw it. Yeah, delivered to Ruin Station. There you go. So I thought we had the update of the mission. I guess we just missed it. Anyway, we got the data. We've now told where we got to go. We got to go to Ruin Station in. There we go. So here we go. Go exterior, Glenn. Exterior. There you go. Show it off. There you go. And this is in the volumetric cloud, the space cloud tech that we have. Same stuff that we're using for Squadron 42 for the coil, but as you can see, usable everywhere else. It's completely volumetric lit in, and it's beautiful. And here we're at the jump point to the Pyro system. Now, you don't necessarily need infrastructure for jump points, but the more traveled ones are the ones that used to be traveled, which Pyro used to be, but not particularly anymore, have what we call jump rings around them, and they help stabilize the jump point to make for a smoother jump. If you don't have one, then it's more difficult, and the entrance is harder and difficult. But sometimes you may want to try a sort of side jump point to get into a system, like if you're a smuggler, because the main ones would be more, essentially, they are like a checkpoint. It's like going through a border patrol or something.
It is basically a port. So when we're building the solar system, one of the things that we think about are entrances for, obviously, economy reasons, and you saw that with Tony Z's talk, of way to interject new things into the solar system. So around the Stanton jump points, the three major ones, we will have space stations, so that you can go and travel, and let's say you're at a long jump point and you want to stop and basically drop something off there,
or refuel,
or do whatever you need to do. So we will have space stations around those jump points that you can go and interact with. Now, obviously, when you go into a little bit more lawless system, I don't want to say like building a wall.
Yeah. Well, in the case of Pyro, it used to be a regulated system.
Yes.
That once they strip mined it out, no one goes there anymore, and it's fallen sort of into a lawless state.
Yes.
And so this is not really this isn't a very often traveled jump point, but we're going to take it because that's where we have to go to head to Pyro Station. So as you can see, the jump ring, which is delineating where the point is off in the distance, and Sam is going to line herself up for us to jump to Pyro system. And this is essentially sort of the infrastructure you occasionally would, you can have around. Some places would have bigger stations, but as I said, the Pyro route isn't a very particularly well-traveled one.
But also with this, I guess with the cloud tech, you see the possibilities of us going in and mining that, and then it affecting your radar, it being booby-trapped, all these kind of gameplay possibilities, I feel, open up with these unique points of interest.
Do you guys think we should open?
Yes.
I think we should go. Let's do it. That's actually a super cool view. You see that one?
Oh yeah.
How good that is. That looks awesome.
Yeah. All three of them.
Okay. So going through a wormhole is a little bit like riding the rapids. You don't really have much. You have lateral control,
But it's
a little bit
being
of
on a
forward, but you're
current.
being pushed on a current,
Yeah.
and you've got to keep inside the boundaries of the wormhole. And actually, if Sam gets a little close, you'll sort of see interference on his screens. And of course, Stanton's just going away in the background, and Pyro's coming in here. Yeah, and you can see there's actually a current that we put in the wormholes, and you sort of see the particles that are giving you the idea where the centerline current is. And you have to anticipate to keep on the course, because if you don't, and you go off and you go into the boundaries of the wormhole, you could end up just being spat out in just space in the middle of nowhere, or severely damaged. Go around, Glenn. Okay, so we are now in the Pyro system, and we streamed out Stanton as we were traveling, and streamed in Pyro. The other side, by the way, has got an awesome light on the side. Yeah.
Set a route to the ruin station, Sam. There we go.
There we go.
All right, Ian. Hit it. Good job, guys. Good job.
Good job. We made it. No crashes. Woohoo! Close one on the interaction. Good job. All right. Sorry. Hang on a sec.